What to look for now that we are entering the next phase of the presidential campaign.
For the first time, the tryouts for vice president are in public.
And what the White House Correspondents Dinner did or did not do for Barack Obama. I'm Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters. Well, Susan, we're going to get to the White House Correspondents' Dinner in a bit. You were there, right?
I was there.
You've been there for a few.
For 30.
Veteran. Is that
30
right?
And more.
You started
That's right.
as a child.
I did.
Absolutely. So we want to talk about it because it was fun, but we want to see if there are any political implications. But you know, in a broader sense, it's fair to say we're moving to a next phase of the presidential campaign. At least it seems like that to me. Up to this point has been vying for who's going to oppose Barack Obama. Now it is Mitt Romney, no third-party challenger on the horizon, at least at this point. So the two candidates are settling in now for a pretty long phase before, I guess, the next thing is the veep announcement. There's not a lot of structured events that are occurring between now and sometime in the summer. Is that right?
Well, that's true, I think, but both campaigns see this as a period where the election gets cooked. Two things happen. One, attitudes about the economy start to be set. Ed Goaz, a Republican pollster, told me that in the next 30 days, it's the most critical times in terms of the economy, people deciding whether they think it's getting better or not. The other way is that attitudes and perceptions of the two candidates, but especially of Mitt Romney, will get determined in this period before the convention. Barack Obama is pretty well known at this point. Mitt Romney, not so well known, especially among independent and Democratic voters. So the White House will be trying to define him one way. He'll be trying to define himself another.
Historically, was it Michael Dukakis who took a vacation after he got the nomination? Different time frame. Mm-hmm. It was later, but that was considered to be a terrible gaffe, right?
A terrible mistake.
He got out of the limelight and allowed himself to kind of sink.
And he got defined in a brutal way. And also Bob Dole in 1996. He did not have a very well organized campaign initially. The Clinton team came after him, hammered him, set a perception of him that he never managed to improve.
You follow this closely. Romney's campaign advisors know all of what you're talking about. So instead of him taking a vacation, we expect Romney and his team to be extremely active, I assume, over the next month or two, right?
Extremely active. Now, they're doing two things. They're raising money. That's mostly in private. But they're also doing events. On Monday, he's doing an event in New Hampshire with Senator Kelly Ayotte. He's going to do an event in New York tomorrow with Rudy Giuliani. He's going to be in Northern Virginia on Wednesday. He's continuing to do events so he's in the news so people don't forget about him.
Now, Obama's job approval rating in our Gallup tracking is at 48, and it was 50 last week, so it stayed up there pretty high. So Obama doing just under where he would like to be, but he has the advantage of the presidency, does he not? I mean, he's meeting with as we're taping this, with the Japanese prime minister, is he not, at the White House? He's able to do a lot of these statesman-like events and get a lot of visibility. So does he have an advantage? Does the incumbent have an advantage because he's in the White House?
Oh, I think he's got a huge advantage. And he can also do events that seem presidential as opposed to political. Mitt Romney can only do events that seem political. But Barack Obama can do events that underscore the fact that he is already president.
Now, we talked about job approval rating. Our tracking of the ballot shows it's about even. In fact, if you look at the big long-term perspective, although Romney was up and then Obama was up and now Romney's moving back up, it looks like in the bigger picture, they're roughly even. So it's a close race, although experts say at this point that ballot's really not that predictive of what's going to happen. But nevertheless, we're sitting here where all indicators suggest it's going to be a close race.
Well, in fact, you mentioned that you have aggregated 8,000 interviews since April 11th, and the candidates, where are they on that?
Yeah, 46-46.
46-46. You cannot get much closer than a tie.
Now, one thing, Susan, you mentioned Romney does have control over one news event, which he's going to milk for everything it's worth, and that is his choice of a vice presidential candidate. You have a brilliant, incisive article in USA Today on your website on Monday and in the paper on Tuesday. Where are we on that? It's obviously everybody's effort to not do what McCain did, as you say in the article back in 08, right?
Right. Yeah, I think we won't have somebody picked out of the blue. But what's different this time from all the campaigns I've covered is that you have people essentially trying out to be vice president. I think they're.
But they all say they don't want it.
Well, some of them say they don't want it. Some are less clear cut about whether they take it or not. The fact is, I think when people are offered the vice presidency, they tend to take it. But you see them giving speeches, campaigning with Romney. Two of them have come out with books. It's a wide open choice. There's no one that Romney has to pick. He doesn't have to pick somebody he ran against.
He's not going to pick
in the primaries,
Santorum,
for instance. He's not going to pick Santorum or Gingrich or Ron Paul or Rick Perry or any of the people who ran against him. So he's got a wide field he can choose from, and you really see people trying to make their case and address sometimes, in some cases, some of the weaknesses or vulnerabilities they might have as Romney considers his pick.
Now, you talked about in the article the various reasons people pick nominees. Kennedy supposedly picked LBJ, whom he didn't necessarily like, and his brother Robert Kennedy really didn't like, according to Robert Caro's new biography, because he would deliver Texas, which he did by a small margin. But now, is that still viable? Bob Portman, the senator from Ohio, has mentioned a lot as a possible veep because Ohio is a crucial state.
I think the smart money is on Rob Portman.
Is that right?
Because he is, number one, widely experienced, served in George W. Bush's cabinet, served in the Congress for 7 terms, now in the Senate. So he's ready to be president. That's supposed to be one of the standards that you use. And he comes from Ohio. No Republican has ever run the White House without carrying Ohio.
Although a lot of the data show that there's unclear how much it makes a difference who they choose. But as I just mentioned, as we're talking about, at least it gives Romney, and you say in your piece, a chance to make a decision, to be in the news, and to show how he operates, right? And as you say, he's going to operate like a CEO, we assume.
And look how different the decision-making process is between Mitt Romney and John McCain just 4 years ago.
McCain was a pilot, as you point out.
McCain was a pilot,
not
right.
a test pilot, but a jet pilot.
Trusted his gut. Mitt Romney is a businessman. He wants to see the data.
We'll see what happens. Now, back to the White House Correspondents Dinner before we go. Most interesting thing of the week. You were there. A lot of visibility about it. Obama delivered a stand-up routine, as presidents do, right? When you were president, you were telling us of the White House Correspondents Association. It was Bill Clinton's last year, and he did his own stand-up routine. So that, and Obama did very well. Can it possibly make a difference?
I can't believe Americans are going to vote on the basis of who delivers the best comedy routine or addresses the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Maybe it goes to the point of likability, though. You know, we do know that Obama seems to have a little advantage over Mitt Romney in terms of the person you might want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with. Maybe it helps there, but I got to think that with all the problems we face in this country, especially on the economy, the situation in Iran, you could go on, that this is not much of an advantage.
Did you have a good time?
I did have a good time.
And did you mine Kim Kardashian's views about the presidency to try to really see what her insights are and who's going to win?
You know, not entirely clear to me why Kim Kardashian was there.
Well, she was invited, right?
Yes.
But
right.
USA Today didn't invite her.
Not our guest.
No. I understand fully. Well, we'll see what happens. Next week, we'll have some information from some swing states and see what we can tell about what's happening there. But the race, as you say, may look like it's entering a calm phase, but it's a critical phase.
Yes, I think so.
I'm Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters.